Nobody recognized him. In every single recorded appearance of the risen Jesus, the people who knew him best did not know who they were looking at. This is one of the strangest details in the Gospels. And almost nobody talks about it. Mary Magdalene was the first. She had followed him for years. She had stood at the foot of the cross while nearly everyone else fled. She went to the tomb before dawn, alone, while it was still dark. And when she turned around and saw him standing in the garden, she thought he was the gardener. She had an entire conversation with him about where the body had been taken, looking directly at the man she loved and completely unable to see who he was. Then the Emmaus Road. 2 disciples, one named Cleopas, the other unnamed, left Jerusalem that afternoon in despair. A stranger joined them on the road. He walked with them for 7 miles. He talked with them about Moses and the prophets. He explained everything that had happened, and they did not recognize him until he broke bread at dinner, and then he vanished. 7 miles. Hours of conversation. Face to face. Nothing. Then the shore of Galilee. Peter, John, Thomas, Nathanael, and 2 others went fishing and caught nothing all night. At dawn, a figure stood on the shore and called out to them. They had no idea who it was. Only after the net filled with a miraculous catch, 153 fish, did John say to Peter, "It is the Lord," his closest friends. The people who had eaten with him, traveled with him, watched him heal the sick and raise the dead, and they could not identify him by sight. Something had changed. The body that walked out of that tomb was real. There's no question about that. He ate broiled fish in front of them. He told Thomas to put his finger into the nail marks and his hand into his side. He cooked breakfast on a charcoal fire. Flesh and bone, tangible, physical, present. But it was also something entirely new. He appeared in a locked room without opening the door. He vanished from the table at Emmaus the moment they recognized him. He appeared and disappeared at will, unconstrained by walls or distance. Consider the contrast with Lazarus. A few weeks earlier, Jesus had raised Lazarus from the dead. Lazarus walked out of the tomb, still wrapped in his burial cloths. Jesus told the bystanders, "Unbind him, let him go." Lazarus was resuscitated, brought back to the same life, in the same body, to grow old and die again. And everyone recognized Lazarus immediately, because he looked exactly the same. Jesus left the burial cloths behind, folded, lying in place, as though the body had simply passed through them. He had gone through death and out the other side into something the world had never seen. This is why recognition never came through sight. It came through something deeper. Mary recognized him when he spoke her name. Just one word, Mary, and she knew. The Good Shepherd calls his own sheep by name, and they know his voice. The Emmaus disciples recognized him in the breaking of the bread, his hands performing the same gesture from the Last Supper, from the feeding of the 5,000. Peter recognized him by the sign, the impossible catch of fish, echoing the first day Jesus called him 3 years earlier. Every recognition came through relationship, through voice, gesture, and shared history. As if the resurrection changed more than his body, it changed the way he could be known. The guards at the tomb confirm this from the other side. Matthew tells us that when the angel descended and rolled back the stone, the guards trembled and became like dead men. Roman soldiers, trained to stand their ground against charging cavalry, posted specifically to prevent anything from happening at this tomb. And they were undone. When they reported to the chief priests, the priests did not investigate. They did not go look for themselves. They bribed the soldiers to say the disciples stole the body while they slept, a story that collapses under its own weight. Soldiers who were asleep cannot testify about what happened while they were unconscious. The authorities never disputed that the tomb was empty. They only disputed how it got that way. But here is what makes this more than an ancient mystery. Paul writes that what happened to Jesus is the prototype, the first fruits, of what will happen to everyone who belongs to him. The resurrection body is the next step. What is sown perishable is raised imperishable. What is sown in weakness is raised in power. What is sown a natural body is raised a spiritual body. The garden where Mary stood that morning was the first square foot of a new creation. Adam was placed in a garden to tend it, and he lost everything. Now, in another garden at dawn, on the first day of a new week, the new Adam walked out of death and into a world where everything that was broken had begun to be remade. Mary was right all along. He was the gardener. She just did not yet understand what kind of garden this was.